welcome back. Got my tea, got my Shadowdark. All right, got my notebook, got my timer, remembered it this time. I am excited. Among other things, but in this game, Torson and Diomedes are currently atop making their way through a highly magical, very Arctic cold, mountainous region. And this particular area is called the Oracle's Teeth. And we learned that there are rocks about, and there seems to be raids from goblins from time to time throughout the region as well that seem to try to my brain. They think there's an opportunity for thieving and stealing from a nest from here and there, or maybe some wandering adventurers. Luckily, our adventurers were hunkered down in a small alcove without a fire, and they were able to rest throughout the night. So they healed up and are now waking up and getting ready for the day. And there's something I want to have Torson do, since he was a little, not off-put, but he was a little, Torson was aware and observant of Diomedes' attitude about his faith, or lack thereof, rather. So Torson is going to ask Diomedes basically why he wants to travel with such a fellow as himself. And I could go on his Diomedes' character sheet, where we established, I think it was last episode, that he's definitely a curious fellow, and has decided to join up with Torson, as Torson is the adventurer type and wanted to explore, and maybe he saw that as an opportunity. But what I do want to do is actually roll on a table to sort of answer that for us. There's an NPC table here that can help us with the characteristics or their qualities. And I kind of want to gain some sort of insight onto the reasons why Diomedes has decided to join up. So what I'm going to do is, using the NPC qualities table, I'm going to use them kind of like an action and theme table from other oracles and stuff like that. This table will give me personally plenty of options to draw from. So I'm just going to roll a couple of d20s and read the does and the secret and kind of make things work that way. So Diomedes sits and thinks for a bit and ponders the question. We got 14 and 12. So we got forgetful and works as a smuggler. Now, we do remember that that Diomedes owes a substantial amount to I believe a traveling merchant, in debt to a merchant trader, right? So he does have conviction. So I don't, and something tells me that he is a little leaning on the good side of things. But he might work as a smuggler in some regard. But forgetful, I don't think that makes any sense. So I think we are going to run with the works as a smuggler, but I kind of want to build on that a bit. And for that, I want to roll on, let's see, here we go. Let's see, the development roll here on the location. There's various things that can happen to a space. So working as a smuggler because of something, or maybe somewhere, or whatever. Let's just roll a couple of options and see what happens. We got a 2 and a 5. A 2 here is connected to a large tomb or over, and 5 is home to an oracle. Interesting. Working as a smuggler and is related to an oracle or a large tomb. I'm going to, I'm going to say that maybe Diomedes has a secret. And maybe he uses adventurers like Torson as effectively a vehicle for goods and loot throughout the world to bring back. Because he did say that he was going to go out to the world, and maybe he said that for Torson's sake, but his second in command that took the talisman to be in control of the Marcaborian, the Minotaur maze, understands that Diomedes is going out there. I like that. Okay, I like that. You know why? I like intrigue, especially interpersonal intrigue stuff. And so Torson asks Diomedes, so what is it about your faith that makes you want to come and join me on my adventure of, frankly, I don't know where I'm going? And Diomedes ponders and thinks and says, the world is wise. It is a good idea to learn from it, no? And Torson can't really argue it, but I am, just the way that he's speaking, I am going to give him, an extreme DC of 18. In fact, you know what? I'm going to give it a 20. I'm going to even make it even more than that, because there's no overt lying here, but this is the first time that Torson has asked Diomedes something that is, pointed at, why he's out there, and he's skirting the truth. So I'm going to give an opportunity to Torson to suss that out. So I'm going to roll a d20, and his charisma is +1. I've set the DC. I also could just roll a back and forth, how well Diomedes says that. And I think, you know what? I think I will, because this is within the party, not against the universe. I'm a really big fan of DCs. Are basically the things that the universe is set for the characters, and the just within interpersonal stuff, it's always a contested role. So the black die will be for Diomedes, and the white die will be for Torson, and we're just going to do 2 charisma checks, and whoever's higher is better. And honestly, they're both at a +1, so they're kind of on equal grounds in terms of how they communicate. And this is more about the inflection as opposed to the words, because Diomedes is speaking fluent Thanian, and Torson is understanding it, but has to speak in broken Thanian. So we'll see. Let's roll. Oop. Uh-oh. Okay, well, We got a 19 for Diomedes, and Torson is just caught by. He's taken aback, but he's not suspicious at all. He's like, "Oh, okay. Well, okay then." So I'm actually going to make a note of that. That's kind of important for story stuff. So we have, Torson, the leaves. Yep. Diomedes. Quote, excuse to join him. There are wise people out there. Is it not a good thing to seek them out? So he really does believe that Torson is, and that Diomedes is doing that solely. He might be doing it to become better at becoming a leader, of course, but his ultimate goal is to gain loot and stuff. So I'm actually going to write a note here in under not contacts, but his secret is to acquire goods for home by any means, usually through travelers. Okay, so he has a, Diomedes has he has a way to kind of utilize his skills and his charismatic nature and his leadership to kind of convince people to travel with him. And, maybe down the road when they get some loot and stuff, maybe he will take it as opposed to Torson. And maybe Torson will, see through that, maybe not, don't know. That's interesting. So, next point of order is traveling through this magically Arctic and very cold mountainous region. I've made some notes in my hex book, the Perilous Badlands little table thing here. So because it's mountain and deadly, so every hour they're in here, I'm going to be rolling for an encounter. And because it's also Arctic and very cold, there's a hazard that it's constantly cold, and there are blizzards a lot, almost every day, every other day. We know that there are rock and their nests around, so we'll keep an eye out for that. But the one thing about this hazard is I'm going to go to 115. 115. Oh, not 115 there. I think it's 111. There we go. Okay, so we got it's deadly, and the hazard is constant cold tower. So a constitution check of a DC 15 every hour that they're outside. And they'll take 1 point of damage every hour that they fail their constitution check. They're both fairly good at constitution checks, +1 for Diomedes and +2 for Torson. So procedurally, I'm going to roll for their travel through this area to the next stage and it's going to take a while. Now that they're on the path, it's probably not going to take a full 8 hours of arduous travel to get to the location that the Oracle was rumored to reside. But it is both cold and difficult terrain effectively. So I would say it probably is going to take at least 4 hours depending on what happens in the future travels. So I'm going to roll two things. I'm going to roll, again, white is for Torson and black is for Diomedes. And then I'm going to roll a d6 for the encounter. The encounter, I do this one. So let us roll for the first hour. So as they're traveling, DC for was 15, right? Because this is so they actually both fail. Constitution for Torson is 13, and Diomedes is also 13. So they both fail that, so they take a point of damage, and we rolled a 1. So within the first hour, they both they get just exhausted a little bit, and they take a point of damage to their body, and they are hurting a little bit. They're fairly healthy, but that's not good. And so we have a situation where we need to roll what happens next. All right, so because we are higher up in the mountains area, I'm going to roll on the Arctic table. Arctic, that's a hard word for me to say. The Arctic random encounter table, which I believe is right about here. Where is it? Come on. There we go. Not artisan, not castle. Where is that? Arctic. There we go. I need a D100 roll. Let's do that real quick. Torson, you go there. Diomedes, you go there. Book, you can go right there. Ooh, we got a 61 for Arctic encounters. 2d4 elven trackers. So let us get some d4s. I don't use d4s all that much. Let's just roll a d4. 2d4 elven trackers camp atop a shelf overlooking ice fields. Ooh. What are elven trackers? So that's a 1 and 3. So there are 4 elven trackers. 4 elven trackers. Are they friendly? I'm just going to mark that we came across elven trackers in that hex. Elven trackers 4. So I'm envisioning the path is a little bit winding, and it's going up steep and then flattening out, and steep and flattening out, and every so often there is a vista that they can see through the see part of the region, but it's almost a constant snow or fog up here, so it's really difficult to see the distance, tell the distance. There is hard to see depth, and the perception further out is you don't know how far away you are from the base of the mountain, or if you see the tops of trees off in the distance, if that is, an hour away or several. So the sense of scale is very difficult, way up high, up on top of this special mountain here. But the elves, I'm going to, since they're effectively like a rival crawler group, that could be interesting. I'm going to ask the Oracle, are these guys a rival crawler group? And I'm just going to do a straight 50-50 roll. So I believe I just need I think it's 51 or greater is a yes. So let's just do a straight up, is this a rival crawler? It could be friendly, but they also just might be a group of adventurers like ourselves. So 51 or greater. We got 61, so they are indeed a group of rival crawlers. You might hear my dog Harvey in the background over here. But so that means we should roll up some information about these rival crawlers. Here we go. So what I'm gonna do. So we do know that the ancestry for them are four elves. So we already know some things about them. Hi Harvey. Yes, I know. I'm playing Shadowdark. I know you're gonna have to wait, buddy. Okay. So we have. Where did my? Oh. This is what I get for not using the bookmark. Oh, there we go. So we have rival crawlers discovered in Hex 31, high up in the Oracle's teeth. Okay. And there you go, buddy. Pardon the distraction. He needed to get out. All right. High up in the Oracle's teeth. We're going to roll up some information about them. And this is... I love this part of the game. I know some struggle with the stop and start if they have to refer to tables a lot. For me personally, I think it adds a lot to my playing to have these words bounce off the page and into my brain, and it just gets the whole thing going again. It gives me new ideas. The fact that we have 4 elves, and they are elf trackers, so they might be some ranger types, or they might be like a bounty hunter group, or they might be, we don't know. Let's just so we come up to them, not up to them, but we notice them, and they are, they are around a camp. What was the mountain? The Art 142 is the art. I've been writing so many notes on my things. Sometimes I forget which ones to look at. Elven trackers camp atop a shelf. Okay, so maybe they're tracking an animal. Maybe they're hunting the rocks. So many questions for the Oracle. Trackers. It seems like they're probably hunters, but let's see their renown. I'm not going to roll their levels and stuff. I just kind of want to get a feeling of their group and stuff, and then if we get to the point, we can roll for individuals if it comes to it. So let's roll for their renown. Let's see how well known they are. 3, locally known. Okay, that tells me that Diomedes probably has heard of them in passing. So that's interesting. Whether that they are able to speak Thanian or not, I don't know. So they are locally known. I'm just keeping my notes over to the side while I have this here for presentation purposes. So locally known. Their classes, I mean, they could just be a bunch. So let's roll a d4 and just see if there's any special. If it's let's just roll to see 4 of them. 4, so a wizard, a fighter, a fighter, that makes sense, and a thief. Okay. So 2 fighters a thief, and a wizard. Okay, that's an interesting combo, and so those are the kinds of things that we can sort of tell from afar, and since they are locally known, I think Diomedes pipes him and goes, "I recognize a couple of those individuals. I believe they stopped by my maze some time ago, looking to trade furs for supplies." So that reinforces the fact they're probably more of beast hunting and bounty hunting for trapping and recovering furs for loot and fur for supplies and things like that. So let us. Torson goes, "Diomedes, do they have a name? Do you know any of their names?" And Diomedes, I'm going to say it's likely. So I know that it is a 25 or 26 or above, that he does know at least the party name. 34, he does. So we're going to roll up the party name. So let's do a black will be first and white will be second. So 8, the lone storm. Oh, okay. Locally known as the lone storm. So that is a very interesting. I love the lone when it comes to a group of people. The lone storm. And does he know what they're known for? Okay. Well, if he knows who they are, he might know what they're known for and why they came through. Whether it's true or not, we don't know. So let's roll a d20 for the known for table here. We got a 4. Slaying a 2-headed ogre. Ooh, that is interesting. Known for slaying a 2-headed ogre. So, an ogre, I believe, is over here. I'm just going to read up on it real quick, because I don't recall. Ogre. A massive, dim-witted brute with tusks and a heavy frame, often lords over goblins or orcs. Okay. It's a level 6. It's a level 6 enemy. 2 great clubs. All right. So, Torson is going to be like, does he actually? I'm going to see if Torson knows any of this. So I'm going to have him make an intelligence check. The DC will be normal, just to have general monster knowledge of. Has he read about ogres and stuff like that? Him being a sailor for a lot of his earlier life, probably not. So I'm just going to roll in -2 with the 12 being the DC. A 9 minus 2, 7. So he goes, well, I don't know much about ogres, but if they killed a 2-headed one, that must be some feat, no? And I think we will leave it there for knowledge on the rival crawlers until we need to talk to them. So I think Torson goes, since you know them, maybe you should go up and talk to them first. I think they are sort of, there's no way around them if we want to not engage. But maybe if we present ourselves, they might give us some tips on maybe they've seen this mythical oracle or something like that. So And Diomedes goes, "You will have to talk for me, as I only speak my own tongue." And Torson nods his head and goes, "Right, right. I'll be your intermediary. I'll be your translator." Translator, yes. Let's go. So, let us go and have them meet these rival crawlers. So, just by nature of them being somebody that appears to be some sort of beast hunting troop, and they're known for slaying a two-headed ogre, it feels like they are actual adventurers and not, you know, a group out for personal gain per se. That they could be, but they don't seem to be bent in a chaotic way that much. So they might appear maybe worn down or bloodied, or maybe they're just worn down at the at this campsite. But it is inviting because they do have a fire going, and they arrive at the end of this hour at this camp, and Diomedes goes, "Hail, trackers!" He puts his hand up and has his great axe inverted, and is using the axe part as part of a walking stick. And Torson is translating all of this. "Hail, adventurers! Would you mind if we join you on this cold day? It is frigid up here in the mountains, no?" And the elves, I'm going to roll, so we do know their base sort of demeanor, but I am going to roll on their reaction and see how, or their attitude toward Torson and Diomedes. And because we're using, they're both interacting. I could give advantage because they're both talking to them, but I think that the fact that Diomedes is speaking in a language they don't understand, most likely. Actually, being a wizard, you know what? I'm just going to ask the Oracle right now before I go any further. Does the wizard understand Thanian? I'm going to say that's unlikely, so we need a 76 or higher. Ooh, a 10. So no. So he does not understand them. So they don't understand them, so there's obvious confusion on their eyes, and they're startled. And then their current reaction is 7 plus 1 is their so 8. Suspicious. Okay, that makes sense. The trackers look up, and probably the two fighters draw their swords, and they're both on edge a little bit. And the thief is, cloaked in fur and everything, and lowers its hood and holds up his hand and basically says in common, "Halt! This is our hunt." And Torson hands up, looks over to Diomedes and says, "Let's take this easy, okay?" "Yes, of course. We'll take it easy. No infringement upon your hunt. We come knowing of your deeds and surprised to see you out here in this weather. Did you get beyond the blizzard the other day?" And Torson nods and then adds, "Yes, what are you hunting out here after such a blizzard? We saw nesting rocks, but they are hunkered down, keeping their young safe from thieving goblins. And a very suspicious looking wizard steps around next to the thief, and in wizard fashion does the whole, long robe underneath and pulls out a wand and says something under his breath toward the thief. And Torson and Diomedes do not understand, but effectively says, listen, indeed, as my compatriot has said, this is our fight, this is our hunt. You two keep on moving, okay? And then no trouble. They know that if they keep traveling without heat, it's going to be very cold and very hard. So Torson is going to try to compel them to let them stay, and it's going to be hard. They're already suspicious. They don't seem to want outsiders in on their hunt. But Torson is going to very quickly say, we don't want any trouble. We just need a place to sit and rest for an hour or two before we move on up to the Oracle's home. And they haven't said anything about the Oracle's home, so that's maybe they're so focused on it. So he's going to roll, and I think the DC here is going to be hard. Not normal, it's going to be hard to try to convince them to let them stay. And I think if he critically fails, he probably fumbles his words, and they'll probably become a little hostile and basically shoo them away. So we'll see. If he succeeds, maybe they will be able to stay and warm up a bit. We got 13 plus 1 is 14. It does not beat the 15 hard DC, unfortunately. And Diomedes goes, Torson. Inflection is important. And the two fighters kind of look at each other and goes, yeah, get on of here. This is our shelf. Back off. And Torson shakes his head and goes, all right, your loss. We've got tails. It would be nice to hear yours too. And unfortunately, Torson and Diomedes are sort of pushed away from the camp, and they have to keep on trucking, unfortunately. So we have discovered that there is out there somewhere some rival crawlers by the name of the Lone Storm in the region. What they're doing out there, unfortunately, have not figured that out yet. So let's roll for hour 2. All right, hour 2. So they both need to do their con check to resist the cold, and this time they've been out for 2 hours, so it's going to be 2 damage per hour. And now let's do that DC of 15. Ooh, 16 for Torson and 14 for Diomedes. And so Diomedes, unfortunately, takes a point of damage. But they do not, pardon me. Can't be shutting the door, buddy. It can't be. All right. So they take some more damage, and their travel is going not smooth, but it is still trudging along. They're going to keep on going. And at this point, it's reaching to be about mid-morning, almost afternoon, that kind of thing. So we're going to roll again to see. Now this is going to be, 2 damage. Sorry, I almost missed that. He's down to 14. So now it's hour 3 damage. If they fail their con check, it's so bitingly cold. All right, no encounter. Ooh, natural 20 from Diomedes. He is able to resist, and maybe his fur and his cloak have been he's just been able to resist this time. Torson, unlucky, takes 3 points of damage, down to 12. And that was the 3rd hour. And I'm going to say that there's a chance that they find something. So I'm going to roll a... They're actively trying to search for the... Here you go, buddy. They're trying to actively search for the Oracle's home. And I'm going to have them both be rolling a wisdom check to finding things. So now that they're a little bit closer to the destination, possibly. 1 from Diomedes and a 6. So they obviously do not find anything. It was going to be a normal DC. Again, I believe that might become a thing with me. People might find or figure out that I just forget to set DCs and I roll before. But with that failure, Diomedes is actually going to pause, and he's going to cast Augury on himself. His first real spell that he's going to cast, he's going to cast Augury, and it's an instant spell. And he's going to interpret the meanings of supernatural portents and omens, and he's going to think on this blizzard, the fog, the arcane Arctic cold that is just oppressive on both of them, and he is going to ask, does the Oracle live atop this mountain? And so he's going to cast that, and he gets a +4 to this spellcasting check. So isn't a tier 2, so this is a 12, so he needs a 12 on this. An 8 + 2 is 10. He fails Augury, so unfortunately he can never cast this until he takes another long rest. So this is unusable for the rest of the day. And with that spell, it goes up into the ether, and he closes his eyes, and the wind is whipping by his face, his hair, his mane, his horns, like the little fur at the base of his horns, are bristling, and nothing. And a gruff, do it again. And he's going to burn his luck. He's going to burn his luck. And because it was not a natural 1, I believe, as per the rules, you can use a luck to re-roll a failed spellcasting as long as it wasn't a critical failure, I believe. So he is going to re-roll that. 18 plus his wisdom, which is 3. So that is, no, oh my God, what is that? 21. And nothing eventually turns, and maybe it's the wind that was picking up, but he gets a strong feeling at the back of his hand and his arm, his whole arm. His fur starts to stand up on edge a little bit, and on the wind, he swears he heard So we can interpret that as yes. And so he is not discouraged, and I felt like this was an important part for Diomedes specifically. He is following Torson on this personal quest of his to see this mythical oracle, and he just asked a very important question: does this oracle actually live up here? And it is a yes. So that is that is good for Diomedes. So he goes, Torson, I think we're on the right track. Let's keep going. So we got one more roll, and then I will say that we definitely find whatever this oracle's home might be. So all right, we got the environmental roll and their con checks. All right, let's see. Oh, another one. Ooh, yuck. So this is our 4. So 4 points of damage. Ooh, 9 plus 1 is 10. So that fails the 15. 13 plus 2 is 15. Got the DC. So Torson does not take any damage. But unfortunately, Diomedes takes 4 damage and is down to 10. Pretty brutal. Pretty brutal travel through the mountains. So because we succeeded, he did not actually lose that spell. All right. But now let's roll on our encounter. So as they are coming up, the wind is whipping up pretty harsh. The visibility does not go beyond a few hundred yards maybe. And it's basically like that fog of war in those old games, where it's just this pervasive cold and then this fog everywhere. And you can't tell if there is a storm coming. You can't tell if it's sunny anywhere else. It's just cold and foggy. All right, so let's roll on the Arctic because of how high we are. Let us roll. 141, 142. All right, let's roll a D100 and see what happens. 26. 26. The skull of a sapphire-eyed lich glares from a pillar of ice. Ooh, interesting. Maybe this is the Oracle's home? Maybe this is something else? Ooh, this might be a dungeon. This might be a dungeon. This might be a dungeon. Woo! Okay, sorry. Anyway. So we have, I got to add a point of interest on this mountain side area. Point of interest. The Hex 3, we have deadly. We have a pillar of ice. All right, so the pillars of crimson. The pillars of crimson what? The pillars of crimson something. Sapphire-eyed lich, like statue or skull. Yeah. I'm gonna ask the Oracle. Is this a dungeon? I'm gonna say this is extremely likely. So anything but, I think, an 11, a 10 or lower. 15. So it is. So yeah. So this is a dungeon. Pillars of Crimson Death. Yeah, I like that. Pillars of Crimson Death. So this is a special location that's within this hex. And again, pardon me. You can't get that, bud. Next time, I think I might have to get him out of the room. So, Diomedes goes, there, shelter. There's a portal on the side of the ice wall over there. And Torson takes one look at the pillars and this weird, shiny red eyes in this obvious gaunt-looking skeleton. And he gets a chill down his spine. And he goes, Diomedes, I don't like the look of that. Let us just get to the Oracle, no? Maybe this is the Oracle's home. It doesn't seem very inviting, no? Well, maybe the Oracle needs to be protected, no? Well, I guess, needless to say, we are both freezing our asses off. Let's warm up. Let's make camp. Okay. So they make their way into this this pillar, and there is like not a door, but like an opening that is sort of covered over. And I'm gonna have Diomedes take a look and make a wisdom check to see if he can't figure out how to open or to interact with this door, with this portal. So I'm gonna have him roll, and I'm gonna set the DC to this as normal. There's no extenuating circumstances otherwise. He does not get advantage, and he could, yeah. All right, let's see. 19, yes. So 19 plus 3 is 22. Ah, look. The sapphire eyes. There's thumbprints. And then he reaches up and he puts his hoof and his hand up on the eyes of the skull and pushes in. And the inside of the pillar of ice, the wall, starts to melt and fade away into nothing, and an opening appears. And Torson looks over at Diomedes and goes, I have a bad feeling about this. Torson, no worries. I can protect you. And what he's going to do, Torson is going to first cast Cure Wounds on himself. And let's roll. Cure Wounds is tier 1, so an 11 or higher. 12 plus 3 is 15. 12 plus 4, sorry, is 16, so he heals. 1 plus half his level, so he is level 3, so he gets 2d6 of healing, which is pretty good. And he gets 6 points of healing, which brings him up to 16 out of 17. And he touches his chest and boom, boom, heals up a little bit. Torson, do you need some healing? And Torson goes, sure, thank you. I still don't like this place. So he's going to cast Cure Wounds again. And during that, Torson is going to take a look around, and he is going to make his own wisdom check, because Diomedes is busy, and he is just going to take a look while Torson is patting him on the back and casting Cure Wounds. So let us roll both. One for, the black is for Diomedes, white is for Torson. Torson succeeds in his perception sort of wisdom check to see what he can see around him. And Diomedes succeeds in Cure Wounds and heals Torson for 4 points of damage, which is oddly the perfect amount to bring Torson back up to 16, his actual hit points. I feel better. Oh, look! Over there. There seems to be some sort of icy door. Kind of the one that you opened. Do we think we can go in there? And Torson and Diomedes goes, Yes, we can. But before we do, let me prepare something for you. And he is going to cast Protection from Evil on Torson. And as he prepares it, he goes, I have a good feeling. Trust me and you will find your riches, no? And again, he's thinking helping Torson do all the heavy lifting while he keeps him safe, while Torson gets a lot of the loot for him, remember? So that's what I'm thinking there. He's going to cast Protection from Evil on Torson. So he's going to, it's a tier 1 spell. So we're going to, ooh, and maybe it's his thinking of why he's casting this spell or anything like that, but he just does not have enough faith in that moment for that spell to take hold. And he loses the ability to cast that for the rest of the day. Torson goes, What'd you do? I didn't feel anything. Oh, it's okay. Sometimes my connection to Geed is fleeting, especially up here in these high mountains in this strange magical coldness. But let's press on, shall we? And I think I'm going to end today's session there. Just as Diomedes and Torson gear up to go into this space top down known as the Pillars of Crimson Death, where a sapphire-eyed lich skull had invited and enticed them to enter, and we'll see what sort of things they get into. So this is going to be interesting. The next session is going to be them going into an actual dungeon. I'll try to figure out some good way of doing actual crawling things on camera here. I know I've been doing a lot of overland travel. I like overland travel, so that's what I've been doing. But we rolled up a situation where they came into a dungeon space, so that'll be fun. But I want to thank you all for joining me today, and let's hope that Torson and Diomedes can be successful in their dungeon delving, in their crawling in the Shadowdark. And we do have some torches, or we do have some torches for Torson, so he'll have to use those, and we will represent that by the timer that's right there. And as a reminder, that's how I'm doing torches in the game while I'm recording myself. It's just easier to do that for me, and it's a visual aid for me to see how much time in real world time has gone by. This timer is an hour long. But yes, Torson and Diomedes gonna delve and hopefully find some good stuff. But until next time, crawlers, I'll see you on the flip side.